They never saw your silence as peace. They saw it as surrender. While you were trying to be kind, they were calculating how to use that kindness against you. You smiled. They took note. You explained yourself. They memorized your need to be understood. You trusted them, and they waited for the perfect moment to twist the blade. According to Machiavelli, mercy without power is an invitation to violence. Not because people are born cruel, but because power is a vacuum, and those who don't fill it are devoured by those who will. This is not a motivational speech. It's a warning. In this video, I will reveal 7 laws that cut deeper than advice. Laws that teach you to withhold your warmth, weaponize silence, destroy predictability, detach from chains, erase signs of weakness, endure pain without breaking, and control perception itself. The world doesn't crown the kind, it crowns the cold, the quiet, the ones who master perception and strike only when the outcome is absolute. If you want to keep your fate in your hands, you must stop playing with it like a toy, because someone colder is already watching. And they won't ask permission. They didn't leave because you were unkind. They left because you were too kind, too available, too soft, too generous with a soul you should have guarded. And this is the first law to master your fate. Kindness is a currency. And you're overspending. Machiavelli warned. Men are ungrateful, fickle, liars. Serve them, and they will forget you. Deny them, and they will remember you. That's not cruelty. It's a map of how power flows between people who pretend to love you, but secretly weigh your worth by how easily you give. Let's stop pretending. Kindness is a currency, and like any currency, it loses value the moment you flood the market with it. The more freely you give, the faster they forget it cost you anything at all. That look you gave, it told them you'd stay, even when they vanished. That second chance you offered, it told them pain has no price with you. You thought love would earn loyalty. It didn't. It just taught them where to strike next time. Here's the truth. People don't respect what they don't earn. And when you hand over affection without friction, you're not generous. You're disposable. They test you, not with hostility, with flattery, with small asks, with emotional confessions that weren't earned, just thrown, to see if you'd catch them. When you say yes too fast, they know you fear being forgotten. When you forgive too easily, they know your standards are decorations, not boundaries. And when you love too openly, they know you crave being needed more than being respected. This is how manipulators choose their prey. They don't look for the weak. They look for the overly willing, the ones who confuse kindness with connection, the ones who think giving is the only way to be seen. You need to stop. Here's how. Practice selective silence. Don't respond immediately. Don't always show up. Let them wonder. Let them feel the absence of your energy. Silence is how you remind them that access to you is earned, not guaranteed. Break the reciprocity trap. When someone gives to you, pause. Don't return it automatically. Don't be the emotional mirror. Be the one who weighs intention, not gesture. If their gift is a leash, drop it. Say no without justification. You don't owe them reasons. A calm no with steady eye contact reclaims control. Over-explaining is a confession. Let your no be final, sharp, unedited. Because here's what no one told you. Withholding warmth isn't cruelty. It's preservation. And if you don't cut off the parts of yourself that bleed too easily, they'll keep draining you, slowly, sweetly, until there's nothing left but silence. Kindness should be rare, not common. Earned, not expected. Your fate begins where your generosity ends. Not with hate, not with anger, but with controlled detachment. And when they finally realize you've stopped giving, they'll come crawling. Not because they love you, but because they miss the version of you they could use. Second law is, cold is the language of control. You lost control the moment you raised your voice. They didn't hear your pain. They saw your desperation. Machiavelli advised, "He who cannot control himself cannot command others." Not because emotion is weakness, but because emotion reveals your leash and the hand that holds it. The world doesn't bend to chaos, it bends to calm. To those who walk into storms with dry eyes and steady breath, because coldness is not cruelty, it's calculation. And when you master it, people stop trying to figure you out. They start fearing what you might do next. Most people bleed when they speak. They over-explain. They apologize just to be accepted. They say too much, trying to fix what silence would have controlled. You want power? Then make your words rare. Let your tone betray nothing. Don't speak to soothe them. Speak to confuse them. Leave them asking, what did they really mean? And make sure the answer never comes. Because here's the truth. The emotionally loud are predictable, and the predictable are easy to play. You want to lead? Then become the one who sets the emotional temperature without raising a finger. Because control doesn't come from reaction. It comes from presence. A stillness so sharp, it cuts the room without sound. The Machiavellian mind doesn't suppress emotion. It disciplines it. It speaks with pauses that stretch like knives. It listens longer than necessary, not to understand, but to watch others unravel in their need to be understood. You don't need to explain why you pulled away. You don't need to defend your silence. If they demand clarity, let them burn in confusion, because the second you justify yourself, you lower your rank. Here's how you take back control. Use minimal verbal output. Respond in fragments. Cut excess emotion from every sentence. Where they use 30 words, you use 3. Make them fill the silence. People project meaning into what you don't say. Use that projection as leverage. Eliminate soothing behaviors. Stop nodding while they talk. Don't smile to ease tension. Don't lean in to comfort them. Hold still. Stillness signals self-possession. It tells them you're not here to seek peace. You are the peace or the war. Build an unreadable tonal pattern. Train your tone to remain flat when you're angry, calm when you're insulted, detached when you're praised. Make them wonder if they ever truly moved you. Because once they know they can't influence your state, they'll start bending to it. Cold is not numb. Cold is precision. Cold is the absence of wasted movement, wasted words, wasted need. It's not how you feel, it's how you respond. You don't win by being understood. You win by being unreadable. And the one they cannot read is the one they cannot control. Law. There are 3. Predictability is a prison built by the weak. They didn't control you because they were smarter. They controlled you because they could predict you. Machiavelli said, "To be feared is safer than to be loved if you cannot be both." But what he left unspoken is that fear is born from unpredictability, from the quiet terror of not knowing what someone like you might do next. Your kindness didn't weaken you. Your patterns did. Your timing, your tone, your need to explain. You were always available, always reactive, always traceable. That's how they broke you. Not through force, but through anticipation. You moved like a script. You apologized on cue. You clung when they pulled away. You forgave before they finished wounding you. They didn't have to study you. You handed them the manual. Predictability is not safety. It's psychological exposure. It's surrender. And in a world where power is traded through perception, being readable is a fatal mistake. Because the moment they know what moves you, they know how to move you. The moment they sense your rhythms, they learn how to disrupt them. Control begins when you become unreadable, unpinnable, unstable in your patterns, not chaotic, strategic. There's a difference. You don't disappear randomly. You disappear when they expect intimacy. You don't change your tone recklessly. You shift it when they think they've secured your loyalty. You inject tension into comfort, distance into routine, and silence into places where you once gave clarity. You become uncomfortable to rely on, but impossible to ignore. And that's where power begins. Here's how to escape the prison of being known. Break your behavioral rhythms. If you always reply within minutes, wait hours. If you always show warmth first, go cold. Let nothing about you become routine. Routine is how they trap you in expectations. Break the rhythm. Reclaim the frame. Use intentional inconsistency. Send mixed signals on purpose. Be warm one day, withdrawn the next. Not to play games, but to reset the emotional equation. Keep them on the edge. When they can't predict your next move, they treat every interaction like it matters. Withdraw when they expect intimacy. The moment they lean in, you lean out. Not forever, just long enough. Long enough to disrupt the pattern they built around your predictability. Distance creates distortion, and distortion breeds control. You don't need to be mysterious. You need to be unpatterned. Because when they don't know what version of you they're getting, they approach with caution. They overthink. They tread lightly. And now, they're the ones reacting. They're the ones trying to decode the silence you used to fill. You're no longer the predictable one. You're the one they fear interrupting, the one they never quite understand, and the one they'll never fully own. Law 4. Attachment is the oldest form of self-sabotage. They never controlled you with chains. They used your hope. Machiavelli warned, "He who depends on others to stand must be prepared to kneel." Attachment is not love. It's not loyalty. It's dependency disguised as devotion. And once you depend, you no longer decide. Attachment is a contract you sign without reading the fine print. It begins as warmth. It ends as weakness. You wait for their message. You crave their presence. You rewrite your boundaries to keep their absence from feeling like abandonment. What feels like connection is often just addiction. Your nervous system doesn't care if it's healthy. It only cares if it's familiar. So you stay, not because it's good, but because it's predictable. And that predictability gives you the illusion of control. But it's not control, it's captivity. Manipulators understand this perfectly. They don't offer consistent affection. They offer intermittent reward. A touch here, a word there, followed by coldness, silence, withdrawal. That cycle creates craving. You chase the high. You forget the lows. And now, your emotional rhythm depends on their inconsistency. They vanish. You panic. They return. You forgive. Not because they earned it, but because you need it. That's not loyalty. It's leverage, held against you like a knife. Because the more you fear losing them, the more you lose yourself. You beg, not because you're weak, but because they've rewired you to believe you don't exist unless they reflect you. You're not in love. You're in submission. Here's how to sever the leash. Reverse the validation loop. Stop proving your worth Start observing theirs. Don't ask, "Do they still want me?" Ask, "Do they even meet the standards I've been silencing to keep them?" Most don't. Use delayed response as detachment training. When they text, pause, not to punish, but to regain control. That gap between stimulus and response is where emotional freedom begins. Stretch it. Own it. Make silence your boundary. Audit your emotional triggers. Every panic, every overreaction is a clue. Who taught you to fear being forgotten? Who trained you to interpret silence as rejection? Find them. Then cut the psychic cord. When you detach, you don't feel less. You control more. You don't become cold. You become clear. You stop needing closure. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop checking your phone like it's an altar, because no one has the right to hijack your nervous system. No one deserves that level of access. Detachment is not abandonment. It's survival. You don't master your fate by holding tighter. You master it by letting go before someone colder decides when you're allowed to breathe. Law 5. Your weakness screams louder than your words. They didn't hear your excuses. They heard your tremor. Machiavelli warned, "A man who cannot command his own face will never command the room." He understood something most people never will. Oak weakness is not hidden. It's advertised. Every nervous laugh, every look away, every "it's fine" whispered when it's not. These are not small gestures. They're signals, and predators read them fluently. You believe your words protect you, but it's your posture, your breath, your gaze that betray you. Before you've spoken, you've already confessed. Power doesn't start with strength. It starts with presence, with training your body to act like a fortress when your mind feels like a battlefield. Because in human behavior, perception is currency, and perception is shaped long before language arrives. Manipulators know this. They study micro-expressions, the flicker of doubt in your eyes, the slump in your shoulders, the way your pace accelerates when challenged. They don't need your secrets. They just need your signals. Once they see the crack, they insert the knife, not loudly, casually, until you're bleeding compliance. Your weakness isn't a flaw. It's a map, and you're the one drawing it. You must redraw yourself. Here's how. Command stillness before speech. When provoked, do nothing. Don't shift. Don't fidget. Don't fill the silence. Hold your body like stone. Stillness creates tension, and tension shifts the power dynamic in your favor. Rewire your baseline expression. Practice a neutral face in the mirror, not blank. Neutral. No forced smiles. No premature sympathy. Make it a mask you can hold under pressure. This is not hiding emotion. It's refusing to give it away for free. Slow your movements deliberately. Predators exploit urgency. Slow movements signal control. Turn your head slowly. Lift your hand slowly. Respond slowly. Every slow action tells them you're unshaken, even if your heart is sprinting. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You need to broadcast composure, because composure in chaos is a weapon far sharper than aggression. When others expect panic, be still. When they expect apology, be silent. When they expect retreat, stand firm. They won't say it out loud, but they'll feel it. The quiet violence of a person whose presence no longer leaks weakness. Your weakness once screamed louder than your words. Now, your silence will speak louder than their demands. And when they realize their tricks no longer move you, they'll start moving around you. Law 6. They'll test you with pain. Pass it or be owned. They don't ask if you're weak. They hurt you. and wait for the answer. Machiavelli said, "You must learn to suffer without complaint, for the complaint is the confession. Pain is the final battlefield, not because it wounds you, but because it reveals what you protect, and what you protect is where they strike again." Every manipulator knows this. They delay, go silent, pull away, not to escape you, but to watch you, to study how long it takes for you to fold, to see what you'll do when their affection turns into absence. That is the test, and most people fail it. They chase, they beg, they unravel. But you, if you want to master fate, you must become the one who can sit inside the fire and not scream. They test you with pain, because pain is expensive, and anyone who pays too quickly to escape it is easy to own. Understand this: the ones who hold power do not avoid betrayal. They absorb it. They let it pass through them without breaking form, because they know pain resisted becomes weakness. Pain mastered becomes leverage. Control is not the absence of emotion. It's the refusal to perform it on command. If they know betrayal makes you panic, they will betray you strategically. If they know silence makes you spiral, they will go quiet to control your thoughts. If they know you're addicted to resolution, they will withhold it forever. Pain is the tool, and they sharpen it on your reactions. But when your face doesn't flinch, when your tone stays calm, when you don't explain the wound, they lose their grip. Here's how to pass the test. Master the art of emotional bluffing. Smile when they expect you to retaliate. Remain still when they expect chaos. Don't speak first. Silence isn't retreat. It's the trap. Let them fill it with fear. Reframe pain as information. Rejection isn't failure. It's data. Pain is a mirror. It shows you who's playing you, who's testing you, who's calculating their next move. Based on your suffering, use it. Don't run from it. Build psychological scar tissue. Anticipate betrayal. Expect abandonment. Not with paranoia, but with preparation. Train yourself to need nothing external to validate your worth. Because what can't be taken can't be used. When they realize you don't react to loss, they fear what you might do with it. When they can't make you beg, they start pleading in silence. You become dangerous, not because you harm, but because you endure without a sound. You don't win by avoiding pain. You win by walking through it like it cost you nothing. And once they see you standing, unmoved, in the ashes of their test, they understand you can't be owned. Law 7 is control perception, control reality. They never met the real you. They met the version you allowed. Machiavelli advised, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are. And that's where the game begins. Not in reality, but in belief. Not in truth, but in the illusion of power. Most people waste their life trying to be understood, trying to prove their goodness, their honesty, their pain. But masters of fate don't chase understanding. They engineer misunderstanding strategically. Because when they fear you, they obey you. When they admire you, they excuse your silence. And when they label you as powerful, they build a reality around that image, regardless of who you actually are. Perception is not decoration. It is the architecture of dominance. If they see you as desperate, your words become noise. If they see you as dangerous, your silence becomes louder than a threat. This law is not about faking confidence. It's about manufacturing emotional gravity. You don't step into a room to be liked. You step in to be calculated, to be noticed, but unreadable, to be respected without audition. People don't see facts, they see frames. And whoever controls the frame controls the response. Here's how you shape that frame. Project unapologetic stillness. Never adjust your energy to make others comfortable. Stillness is interpreted as control. Hold your gaze longer. Speak less. Act like the room belongs to you, because it will. Use strategic ambiguity. Don't explain your absences. Don't clarify your decisions. Let them guess. Mystery is a psychological vacuum. People fill it with their own fear, admiration, or obsession. Stay undefined. Mirror what they fear, or respect. If they fear aggression, be calm but unreadable. If they respect intellect, speak in fewer, sharper words. Mirroring is not imitation. It's targeted reflection. You become their projection, but you hold the mirror. Power is not what you do. It's what they believe you could do once they assign you the role. Dominant, untouchable, sovereign. They unconsciously police themselves around you. You won't need to correct them. They'll correct themselves. You won't need to raise your voice. Your silence will distort theirs. And the best part? They'll never know it was by design. Control perception, and the world bends quietly in your direction. Not because it wants to, but because it can't tell the difference between illusion and law. Mastering your fate is a war of presence. Every weakness they see becomes a leash. Every emotion you bleed becomes the ink they write your story with. These laws weren't written to comfort you. They were designed to arm you. Machiavelli didn't seek peace. He built armor for the hunted. So now, do you let them revise your story? Or do you become the kind of silence that unsettles even the coldest predator? Because fate doesn't ask for permission. It responds to whoever controls the frame. The only question left is, who controls yours?